Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me here in my new office. My name is Maria, and this is the Ninja Chickens channel. You can find me on Instagram as ninja.chickens, on Ravelry as Ninja Chickens, and all the show notes at ninjachickens.org. Thank you so much for coming back today or for joining me for the first time. I am usually outside, but I couldn't wait to get in here and start podcasting in my new space. It is nowhere near finished. If you've watched this podcast before or you've seen on Instagram, I am redoing a cabin that we have on our property. It was actually, when we moved out to this property, there was nothing here. It's 25 acres of mostly wooded land. There was maybe an acre and a half that was just mud. I mean, seriously, 6 to 10 inches of mud. It had been used by some of the local kids for four-wheeling and dirt biking and stuff like that. So they kept some trails clean for us, which was nice because we could hike around the land. But the main area was kind of their party spot. And so you could tell where they'd just done donuts in areas and the mud was everywhere. And it rained a lot when we looked at it. So it was just deep mud. We found old mattresses and all loads and loads of junk that we had to haul off from just parties and stuff. So the first thing we did when we moved out here is we wanted to build something quickly so we could get out here and be on land. And we happened to be helping a friend take down a large section of an old house that she had. So we took as much as we could to recycle and build this little cabin. It's just about 350 square feet. It's 16 by 12 feet, basically, and 2 stories. And we lived here for 2 years. And for most of that time, there was no plumbing. We had a small well where we could collect water, and we had an outhouse, a sawdust bucket, basically. And for a good bit of the time, there was no electricity. So we were roughing it for a while. And it was myself, my husband, our Kaya was 3 at the time when we first moved in, a very large dog and a cat. And it was great. We loved it and hated it, of course. But since then, it has been my husband's office. It was at one point a small apothecary when I closed down my place downtown and moved it here. But nothing, we didn't redo it really. And then we've had friends live here off and on. But it's being reclaimed now and totally redone because we hadn't painted it in 12 years. We had put on a small bathroom, but still a sawdust bucket. So we're redoing it a bit to make it into my studio and office space. Downstairs is going to be where I can do all of my eco printing and natural dyeing, and upstairs will be more of a thinking space for design work and all the other things that I'm getting into. So this past couple of weeks, we basically just cleaned it, took everything out and cleaned it. It's not that the last tenants left it nasty, it's just, it's not really been scrubbed for 12 years. So a lot of the places where there were shelving or things like that, ladybugs and stink bugs had, gotten behind those. And so we just needed to scrub it out. So I scrubbed the whole thing from top to bottom, and then I started painting. So this room up here has been painted and I have a rug. Yay! We need to replace some windows upstairs, some downstairs, and do a lot more work down there. But I can get in here and podcast and show you what my space is going to be. There's going to be a nice cozy chair right there. And just on the other side of the camera is going to be a window seat where I can look out onto the gardens. And we'll probably have a work table in here too. So I'm excited about it. I'm taking video as we go so that I can put together a whole montage of the rehab for you guys in a different episode. It may be an episode by itself. If you're new here, this is generally a crafting channel, but I will go into things that we are doing here on the homestead. We live out on 25 acres in the western mountains of North Carolina. And I will often talk about things in the garden and things on the homestead and other things that we're up to. We're a do-it-yourself kind of family, so we like getting our hands dirty and figuring out how things work. So yes, I'm in my office. The first thing I wanted to tell you about after the offer spiel is a huge, huge thank you to everyone who has sent in blanket squares. We currently have 93 blanket squares. This will more than finish the blanket for Evelyn. For those of you who don't know, this is the Sister Survivor blanket project that is being run by Evelyn of the Thistle Hollow, and she is creating a blanket filled with love for a woman who came forward to speak about abuse that was happening and basically spearheaded, I guess you can call that, or because she stepped forward, many other women stepped forward about this particular man. 156 total, to be exact. So we were looking for 156 squares to make a blanket. This will more than complete the blanket for her and potentially make a lap blanket for someone else. So I am very excited. I'll be sending these off to her in a few days. The knit along giveaway goes through tomorrow. So, and I know there's actually a few other squares on their way. So we may break 100 to send to her, which is absolutely amazing. Thank you. They've come from all over the world. I wrote down where they're all from, so I want to read some of the places to you because I just think this is amazing. My state of North Carolina, Washington, Colorado, Norway, California, Minnesota, Germany, the UK, Oregon, California, or I say California, more from California, Canada, Portugal, Arizona, Arkansas, Ireland, Colorado, Finland, Michigan, Missouri, and there's a few others coming from other states and countries. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. This has made me really happy. And I can't wait to see what Evelyn puts together and the finished product. I know it's going to be absolutely amazing just because there's so much love and so many hands of support that have gone into this. So awesome job, people. Thank you. The next thing I wanted to thank you guys for is the Not Everybody Gets to Go to Rhinebeck virtual festival. It took place this past weekend? No, 2 weekends ago. And it was for all of those of us who can't make it to Rhinebeck. There's so much hubbub that goes on about the New York Sheep and Wool Festival, and so many people from all over the world get to go and enjoy each other's company and love for fiber and apple cider donuts and get to visit with their people. And it can be sad sometimes for those of us who can't go to see hundreds and hundreds of photos on Instagram or all the podcasts about going to Rhinebeck. So Natalie Sheldon of Remembrances Pottery had a great idea to do a virtual festival for those of us who can't go. So vendors from around the world actually had sales and special releases and collaborations and all of that to make it seem special for those of us who can't go. There were virtual knit nights, basically the whole weekend. There was a room open for people to chat and knit together. I made an apple cider donut tea. Someone shared their apple cider, I think it was a cobbler recipe. There was so much that went on this past weekend, and it was really amazing. So thank you so much. We had a little get together at the Echo View Fiber Mill, which is not far from me, and had donuts and knitting and chatting and snuggled with baby bunnies, and it was a lot of fun. So thank you all who participated. It was in no way a negative thing, because the hashtag was not Rhinebeck, and I know a couple of people commented on that sounded bad, but it wasn't at all. We were just supporting each other who couldn't go to the festival, not saying don't go, because it's an amazing festival, and maybe next year, I really would like to go someday. So again, thank you for that. I was floored at how quickly the tea sold out, because I gave out the recipe, so I figured everybody would just want to make their own, but apparently you guys like apple cider donut tea, and it sold out very quickly, so I have put up a pre-order in my store for a second batch. I'm supposed to close that out tomorrow night, October 31st, but I know that some of you won't see this for a little bit, so I'm going to leave it open maybe through this weekend, and just make a second batch for you guys if you want it. And this second batch will be in a black tea base or an herbal base. You get to choose when you check out. So if you're interested, head to the Etsy store. There's an apple cider donut tea there for pre-order. Okay, I think that's it. Lots of goodies to thank you all for in the beginning. So I want to show you something real quick before we get into the knitting. From here, there's a really big window out in front of me. There's a door right here, and there's the window over here. And because of the lighting, you can't really see what I see out there. So I'm going to move the camera real quick so you can see it. So if you take a look out the window, you can see all of the leaves starting to change. There's hubby's cabin and the big yellow maple tree. And if we look out the door, oh, it's a little bright, but you can see some of the orange leaves starting to change on the tree. And then up here on this window, there we go. You can kind of see part of the mountain behind where the leaves are starting to change and get a little yellow. We've got a lot of yellows and oranges going on right now. I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's really beautiful. It's been a late fall for us. We had a warm September and October, so the leaves are now just starting to change. Usually they've changed and are almost gone by now, but we're just starting to get color, so it's really beautiful. All right, let's start with some knitting. Thanks for hanging with me. I am wearing something that I knit, gosh, 4 years ago now. It was my first and I think only seamed project. Not that that was a problem with this pattern. I just like doing things all in one piece, but it was actually really easy to put together. This is called the Bare Branches cardigan by Alan Dakos, and it is hooded and looks fairly simple from the front, but on the back, let's see if I can show you. Can you see the tree? There's a tree pattern on the back of it, and I think it's really beautiful. It was, I think it's a worsted weight or close to Aran, so it's really fast knit. And I have all the information on my Ravelry page. But let me show you these real quick. These are juniper wood buttons that I got from a shop on Etsy. And all the shop information and everything about this is on the Ravelry page about 4 years ago. From 4 years down, so you'll have to scroll down a bit. But it's called Bare Branches, and it's a really cozy cardigan. All right, I have no finished objects for you, but I have 3 works in progress. You've seen 2 of them before. The first is my Serious socks. We have a Serious knit-along, Serious socks knit-along going on through December 21st, which is the winter solstice. And I've finished one, which I'm pretty sure you have seen the first one. There we go. And this is how far I am on the second one. I just turned the heel and started up the cuff, or the leg. I'm moving a little bit because the sun is starting to come in through the door. So here we go. I just started up the leg, so I really don't have that much to go. And I think it's looking really nice. I'm excited to wear these. This is the naturally dyed madder red in a Romney yarn. And these others are scraps here and there of things that I had in my stash. There we go. So that's the foot of it. And it's a fun pattern to knit because, like with any color work, you want to get to the next line so you can see how it's going to knit up. And I'm enjoying knitting it again. This is a pattern of my own called Sirius, S-I-R-I-U-S. And we're having a knit along, like I said, through December, and I just got a donation of a prize from Natalie of Remembrances Pottery, who came out a week and a half ago with her first colorwork sock pattern, and they're gorgeous. They're called Bridget's Garden, and she has offered the pattern as a prize for the knit along. So that will be one of the prizes if you are knitting along with our knit along. All the details are in the Ravelry group if you're interested in joining, and if you will hashtag them as Serious Socks, then it would be great to follow along with what you guys are knitting. I'm really enjoying seeing the colors and how you guys are putting it all together. So that's my first work in progress. My second one, I showed you the start of last podcast, and this is a new design that's going to be coming out from Mars of Hey Brown Berry. She is creating her first sock design, and I've done the first and I'm on my second, and here they are. This is the toe and this adorable front of the sock. It's called Pebbles and Pathways, and I'm doing this in Rock and String Creations yarn. It is their Jitterbug base in the Dirty Girl colorway. I really like this yarn. It's pink, but it has these pops of gray and black in it, which give it a little more depth. So it's a lot of fun. The first one, it's done. I just need to add the heel, and then this one really won't take me very long because it's a fun pattern to knit. Again, it's one of those where you just want to get to the next repeat of the cable, so you keep on going. So I will probably, hopefully have this and the serious socks done by next time. And I think she is planning on releasing the pattern mid-November. She's wanting to have it out by her birthday. So she's working on that right now. So if you follow Hey Brown Berry on Instagram, you'll see when that pattern comes out. And then the last work in progress that I have is something you guys haven't seen yet, but I've talked about a lot. And I cast on and finally started my cloak design. So, let's see, here's my little stitch marker for my beginning of round. Let's see if he'll stop moving. Isn't he cute? It's a little dwarf. Anyway, here it is. So far, just got started. This is the top. I've done a provisional cast on, and this is where we'll pick up for the hood. And then my steek stitches, and then part of the design as it will grow. I realized I had this design in my head and I had it all sketched out how it would work, but then I realized with increases, it was going to change the shape, either change the shape of how the cable down the front goes because of where the increases needed to be, or I would have a big swatch of cable down the front and a square point. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically I wanted to increase down the center as I'm creating this cloak, and the cable was in the way. So I redid the design to create a textured space down the front, and I'm really excited to see how this grows. I'm not sure now if I'm going to put the color work on the bob or not. Once I'm at that point, I'll look and see if there's too much, because there's a cable and now there's going to be some texture, and then do I also want color work along the bottom, or is that just going to be busy? I don't know. We'll see. But I'll keep you informed with how it goes. I really like how the cable's coming out. This is looking much more red. Let's see, this is a better idea of the color. This is Harrisville Designs Watershed yarn. It's a worsted weight yarn. I really like the way it knits up. It's squishy and warm and cozy. I'm knitting it at a slightly smaller needle than it would have called for, so that it can be a dense cloak. And for those of you, I've had a few people comment who aren't native English speakers that they don't know what a cloak is. So a cloak is, I guess it's the same thing as a cape except with a hood. So basically it's, you know, you would wrap it around you with a hood, kind of like this, except without any arms. And what are other words for it, guys? I don't know what else it would be called other than a cape or a cloak. A cape I think of without a hood. The cloak I think of with a hood. But it's basically to keep you warm and wrap around you. So I'm excited to see how it looks as it grows. I think that's it. I have just those three things I'm working on. I've been really busy working in the office trying to get this space ready to go. It's starting to get chilly here, and so I wanted to get as much done as possible so we could put, because it doesn't have heating in here either, so I need to put some heating in, and it needed to be painted and cleaned before we could do that. So hopefully we'll get the heating in the next week or two and start replacing the windows to seal it up a little better. Some of them are broken and some of them just don't, they're not insulated. They're $5 windows we got from a used building store when we were building it, because we didn't want to put a whole lot of money into this part-time place we'd be living in. So I don't think I said we built this in 3 weeks with all the extra used scraps. I don't think we bought anything new Even the walls, the boarding and the walls downstairs we bought from a warehouse that had been through a hurricane, and a lot of it had been flooded, and so they were selling everything super cheap because a lot of it was bent. So we just worked with what we had, and it's lasted us and been used for 12 years by many people. So it's really cool, actually, the little history of this building. So anyway, let me see. I think I've told you about almost everything. The last thing I wanted to chat about is a project bag. So I think it's only been about 2 years since I started using project bags. I used to just carry all my knitting in just a tote bag or a grocery bag. And I figured I've got the bag, why not use that? And didn't really think I needed a project bag. And I fell in love with the print on this one bag and ended up getting it. And then it was just all downhill from there because I really wanted project bags. So I have a collection now of project bags and my favorite makers who create them. And I was actually contacted by the creator of Bags by Awesome Granny. And she asked if I would be interested in having one of her bags to do a review. And I don't often talk about my project bags. I just don't even think about it, but I have so many of them. And like I said, definitely my favorites. And she didn't realize that she's one of my favorites and I already have one of her bags. This is the one that I've probably shown you before, and it's called Dysfunctional Family. And it's like a comic book of, I don't know, maybe 50s or 60s era family, but all the wording on there is just hysterical because it's totally not what, you know, might be what I'd say now, but maybe not what you expect them to say in the 50s. Like this little one that shows a kid that maybe has a splinter or something, he's saying ouch, and she's like, oh, you're such a wuss. Or this one, which definitely talks about my family. The kids are screaming, Mom! And she says, don't make me come in there. So anyway, it just made me laugh, and I got this one, I don't know, a couple years ago. So I told her I'd be happy to do a review of that bag, and she was kind enough to send me another bag, which I absolutely love, and this is what it is. And it's books. I don't talk a whole lot about my love for books. In fact, I don't think I even have ever mentioned that I went to school to be a research librarian for a little while. After Kaya was born, I knew that if I went back to work, I didn't want to go back as a nurse. And so I was really good at researching and loved books and reading. So I went back to get my master's in librarianship. And I went for, I guess, just one semester before I realized what I needed to be doing was being home as a mom. She was only a year old, and I felt like I was supposed to get back into the workforce, and I didn't need to, but I was pressuring myself to. So I dropped out of that program, but I did study to be a librarian for a little while. So I love this book, or this bag. It is covered in books, and on the inside are all kinds of little quotes from books. She used a really cool matching fabric for the inside. And she sent a little notions pouch. So part of the reason why I love her bags and the ones that are my favorites is because how squishy it is. I like to be able to take my project and squish it down and, you know, shove it in another bag or, you know, squish it on the seat in the car. It's not that I'm not a fan of those bags that totally stand up on their own and make like a bucket. They're just usually more rigid, so they're not as easy to transport around, and I bring my knitting everywhere with me, so I really like the squishiness of this bag. It's also really well made. It's sewn very securely. There's, I don't know, an easy handle for carrying if you want to carry it this way. The zipper is a strong, sturdy zipper. It doesn't get caught on anything. I'm not showing it to you very well, am I? Because I've got it down on my lap. But I really love it. It's Bags by Awesome Granny, and they're some of my favorite bags. She has amazing choice in her fabric, too. It was hard to figure out which one I wanted because there were so many to choose from, but It's really sturdy. I don't know enough about sewing to talk to you about what kind of fabric it is, but it's not a thin fabric. It feels like it'll hold up really well. So anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out to Awesome Granny because she makes some really nice bags. She was kind enough to offer a 15% off discount. Just open wide. There's no end date. So if you're interested in getting something from her store, she said to just use the coupon code Ninja15, and I'll put it right down here so you see it, for 15% off of anything in her shop. And she's offered one of you a free bag. So go to her shop and look around, see what you like. And I'm going to have a giveaway. I'm running it through Instagram, but I will post about it today, later on today. And let's see. Well, here's what I was thinking. So today is October 30th. Tomorrow is Halloween. And the next day is the Day of the Dead. And though Halloween started for me as, you know, just a trick-or-treating and candy, over the years, it has become more of a celebration of those who have passed, right? It's supposed to be between Halloween and the Day of the Dead, the time when the veil between the worlds, whatever that means to you, is at its thinnest. So it's easiest to feel in touch with those people who have passed. Okay, I'm moving back a little bit more because the sun is really starting to come in. I'll have to learn this space. Anyway, so what I was wanting to do for this giveaway is to hear a memory, a special memory that you hold from someone who's passed. With this time of year, I'm always thinking about my father. His birthday was November 4th, so that's coming up. He passed away on Thanksgiving, which is coming up, and he died when I was 14, so I was very young. I don't have a whole lot of memories because I was so young that I know are mine completely, if that makes sense. Because I see pictures of him and I think about that time or I think about that moment, and I don't know if that memory is simply because of the picture or if I really remember that time. I remember that he was the one who would wake up in the morning and make my lunch for school and bring us to school. My mom was a night nurse and he worked during the day. So I remember he was there during the day more. I remember that on Sundays he would always lay in this certain position on the couch and watch football. He wasn't really a football fan. It was kind of just his time to be able to chill. And I remember this one thing specifically that always just made my heart really warm. He and my mom, I don't remember them showing a lot of outward physical affection. I don't remember finding a stolen moment when they were having a kiss or snuggling up on the couch and watching a movie. I just don't remember a lot of that. And it's not that they weren't close. I just don't remember seeing that physical affection. But I do remember he was always the one driving the car. And I remember from the back seat seeing him reach over in the car and just gently grab her leg or put his hand on her knee and just tap it. And he would often leave his hand there, just sitting on her leg. And it was just kind of this, because I'm in the back seat, they're having this little moment up front, just kind of seeing this sweet exchange between the two of them that I don't remember seeing a lot of. And it used to make me feel more safe, if that makes sense, just to see that little exchange. And when I was old enough to sit in the front seat, or my sister was old enough, he would do the same thing. It was just, we'd be driving maybe in the car for 15, 20 minutes, and you can tell there was something that sparked a moment of affection, and he would reach over and put his hand on my leg or my knee and just give it a tap. And I find that that's something I do a lot when I'm driving, when the kids are sitting in the car. And it's just a really sweet moment and a memory that I'm glad that I have. And that's not a picture that anybody took. It's not something that is anything but my own memory. So I like that. And I would love to hear some of the sweet memories that you have of someone that was close to you who has passed. So that will be, long story short, that is what I am asking from you if you would like to enter to win one of the bags from Awesome Granny. Yes, so it's going to be on Instagram. I will set the post up today, the 30th, October 30th, and I will run it for at least a week. And if you go to her store and take a look around, 15% off with the code Ninja15, all caps. And thank you so much, Awesome Granny, for offering this giveaway. It's really awesome. Yes, so all the details will be in Instagram. Go on over and check it out. I think that's it for now. Welcome to my new space. Hopefully in 2 weeks, I will have even more things set up for you guys to see. Thanks for coming along on the journey, and thank you so much for joining me here. I love you guys. You're really awesome. You make my day with your comments and your kindness and your participation in everything that I do. So I hope you have an amazing beginning to your November and are enjoying the leaves changing where you are, whether it's spring or fall. I hope you're doing well. Bye. If that mockingbird won't sing